Before we start this episode, you should know that History in 5 is a series that teaches about America's greatest ideas in a fun, conversational, age-appropriate style for tweens, from civics to history to our U.S. Constitution and beyond. Enjoy more free videos like this for kids of all ages on our website. And for parents and teachers, subscribe for free to PragerUkids.com.
We the people. Those are the first 3 words of the American Constitution. Maybe they don't sound that exciting, but those 3 words created one of the greatest mic drops in history. Imagine standing up in front of your whole school and saying something so cool, so revolutionary, that it changed not just your school, but schools across the entire world. The founders were standing up in front of every country and flipping the script for how governments had always been. The norm throughout all of history was for a king or emperor to call the shots. The American Constitution turned that upside down. Instead of the people being powerless peasants, it made the people king, or at least like the final boss. But how do you give the people the power without reverting to mob rule, where everyone runs around with pitchforks making demands? This is where the Constitution is genius. Let's take a look. It's composed of 7 parts called articles. In this episode, we'll focus on Article 1, which has 10 sections. Article 1 is all about the branch of government that makes the laws. They called this branch the legislature. Sometimes you hear it referred to as Congress. It has multiple names, kind of like Darth Vader and Anakin are the same dude. Section 1 says that Congress is made up of 2 squads, the House of Representatives and the Senate. Even within Congress, they wanted to divide the power. Section 2 says who can be members of the House of Representatives. You must be a citizen of the U.S., live in the state you're representing, and be at least 25 years old. That's it. You don't have to be super rich or powerful. It was radical. America invented the idea of the citizen politician. Section 2 also says how many representatives each state will have, and that's based on their population. The more people you have, the more representatives you get. Here, things get tricky. The Constitution mentions counting 3/5 of all other persons when determining representation. What does that mean? Who are these persons? Well, they were the slaves. The word slave is not used in the Constitution, but everyone knew what they were talking about. Some people say that this means the founders didn't think the slaves were full people. But here's what was really going down. The southern slave states wanted more power. They knew that if they had a larger population, they would have more representatives, and therefore, more power. So they wanted to count the slaves as whole persons, even though they wouldn't let them have any say in how the country was run. The northern states knew the game the southern states were playing. They were against slavery and didn't want to give the slave states more representatives. The northern and southern states argued like siblings over the front seat. They finally settled on counting slaves as 3/5 of a person. It was a compromise that kept the states from splitting and allowed them to form a country that would eventually abolish slavery. Whew, that was a lot, but we got through it. Section 3 is about the second legislative branch, the Senate. Senators would need to be at least 30 years old and would be chosen by each state government. They would serve 6-year terms. Each state would have 2 senators, no matter the population of the state. This way, unlike the House of Representatives, in the Senate, each state would have equal representation, no matter its size. Sections 4, 5, and 6 lay out rules for how Congress should operate. Things like how often to meet, or what to do if a senator crashes out or tries to take over the galaxy. You know, things happen. Section 7 lays out how laws are actually made. The founders didn't want it to be easy to make laws because laws restrict freedom. And the founders were kind of fond of freedom. For a bill to become a law, it must be approved by a majority of both the Senate and the House of Representatives. But it doesn't stop there. The president also has to approve it. If he doesn't like a bill, he can shoot it down. That's called a veto. Hasta la veto, baby. But to keep the president from having too much power, Congress can override the veto if they get at least 2/3 to vote in favor of the law. The founders went through a lot of trouble to make sure there were thorough checks and balances, all designed to protect your freedom. Section 8 lists all the responsibilities of Congress, which includes things like arming the military and collecting taxes. Sections 9 and 10 do a bunch of additional stuff. Most importantly, they make sure our rights are protected, even during emergencies. That's how much the founders cared about protecting freedom. We, the people. just 3 words, but the founders put them into action. It was a big experiment, but here we are, over 200 years later, and it still works. Thank you so much for watching this episode of History in 5. You can watch the full series and more on our website. And parents, make sure you subscribe at PragerUkids.com to never miss an episode.